You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth! Time! Tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Tell me!
It is a gift. A privilege.
Behold! My stuff.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on! Let's get nuts.
I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Meaning of Fandom. This is where we gather people together, a group of people together, and they share what a particular character or fandom means to them and why. And we're here to have some grandiose of a time, specifically called fun. I am your host, Ryan of Van Dyke Quote Channel, and boy, do we have a very interesting, studied up until the last minute for this show kind of cast. Please welcome a very good friend of the show, good friend of the channel. She's been on our programmings numerous times over the course of our wonderful careers. Please welcome New York Times best-selling writer, Adina Mignona is in the building. Hello, Adina. How are you?
Hello, hello. Best-selling author someday. Getting there, working my way up.
Oh, don't worry. She'll get there, folks. She'll get there. She's a wonderful person inside and out, and she's written some of the best stories in the world. Don't worry. We'll talk more about that stuff later, as I'm sure we'll dive into a little bit later on. Also joining us is someone who hasn't been here in a while. They've been too busy hanging out with their doppelganger known as PJ, also known as Peter Jackson, and the Hobbits of the Shire of New Zealand. Please welcome Malcolm back to the stage. Hello, Malcolm. Welcome back. How's your good friend Peter doing?
He's doing good, and yeah, it's been a while. The time's just never lined up too much, but it happened to just line up today, so I'm here.
You're here. You're just here. That's fine.
Yeah.
We appreciate you being here in this studio on this show. And also joining us is a wonderful individual. She's been on our program a few times. The last time she was here, though, she was kind of in and out. She was here for 2 minutes, one minute, and then she left for 5 minutes, came back 10 minutes later, and I'm wondering to myself, what is going on with this individual? Is their schedule really that cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? But she's making time for us, despite the fact that her favorite time of year is now closed, also known as spooky season. Please welcome all the way from Canada, Willow's in the building. Hello, Willow. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, we're fine. We're just fine here now. Thank you. How are you? Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Once again, this is the Meaning of Fandom. So if you have any thoughts or questions about any of these characters or maybe fandoms that are going to be mentioned during the course of this program, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. And do not forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. And if you're watching us live or what is known as a replay, thank you very much for doing so. So how this show works, I'm going to turn things over to one panelist at a time. They're going to share with us what their one of their favorite characters or fandoms is. And then you're going to get all of our other panelists' reaction to that. And then we're also going to get your reaction. You may be watching or listening to this right now in the chat. Without any further ado, as one might say, I'm going to turn things over to our first panelist. But before we do, we have this to share with you. Take a look.
Space, a final frontier.
The adventures you love are here.
Welcome aboard, Voyager.
Celebrate the 40th anniversary of one of the most exciting franchises in television history, Star Trek on DVD. Bring home every episode.
Get started.
From every series.
I am Locutus.
40 years of thrilling action.
Full power.
Amazing missions.
Resistance is futile.
Captivating encounters.
What is it?
It's a tribble.
And groundbreaking moments are all available on DVD.
Take us out of orbit, Mr. Sulu. Ahead, walk back to one.
Including the original series.
Mr. Scott, ready to beam up.
The Next Generation.
Engage.
Deep Space Nine.
Fire at will.
Voyager.
Energize.
And Enterprise.
Lock phase cannons.
And look for the newest addition to the Star Trek family, the Star Trek Fan Collectives. Created for the fans, by the fans. 4 new 4-disc collector sets with classic episodes chosen by the fans, featuring brand new text commentaries.
Fascinating.
The journey home is now complete.
You and the others are about to make history.
Look for the entire Star Trek universe on DVD.
Well, that franchise has only been around for more than 2 minutes. So I'm just curious, Adina, what is it that you love so much about this fandom simply known as Star Trek? So in other words, engage.
Yep, the Star Trek is absolutely my core fandom. I have a lot of fandoms, but Star Trek is the core. And I think I have to go back to when I was a teenager, which is when The Next Generation was airing in its first run. I was always aware of Star Trek because the original series, was on syndication in the background, and my dad enjoyed it. So it was on. I was aware. I liked it. But when Next Gen came on, something about that started to really get me engaged. And then the summer after the first season, I was out in LA on vacation with my family, and we went to Universal Studios. And at the time, they had this Star Trek adventure where they would pull a couple people out from the audience, and they'd have them on stage, they get them into uniforms or costumes. And the whole idea was to show people how it worked, like how they filmed scenes out of order, how they would add in special effects later. And so I watched this and I was like so entranced, like I wanted to like be on stage. And I was someone who was very shy as a kid. So the idea that I actually wanted to be on stage was amazing. So while my family went off to do other rides and things, I waited like 2 whole rounds of this to get picked. And so they picked me. They put me in an engineering uniform from Star Trek II, where during the whole scene, during the battle, when they're in the white uniforms to kind of protect themselves from what was going on. And they told me to come out on stage and pretend you're choking. And then when the director yells cut, I needed to just like fall on the floor and just not move and pretend to be dead, and like continue to pretend to be dead for like a while, even when they're trying to get me up for like laughs. After all that was over, we're in the gift shop, and I bought my first Star Trek technical manual. And I was done. I was done. From then on, it was not just that I was a fan of the show. In real life, I wanted to go into the aerospace engineering field. That is what motivated me to want to do that in real life. And that's what I wound up doing. I wound up going to college for physics and astronomy, and I started working in the aerospace field when I was like 20. And here's 30 years later, and that's my career. So Star Trek has basically given me everything I have. And yeah.
That's
Wow.
incredible.
I mean, so I guess after you caught a glimpse of this series and read the manual, saw the show for a bit, resistance was futile.
It was.
Couldn't
What's
resist.
really funny about watching that clip that you just showed about the 40th anniversary, that was 18 years ago, which is amazing. And it was before the J.J. Abrams movies. It was before Star Trek Picard, before Strange New Worlds, before Lower Decks. It's like
Discovery.
that 40 years was 18 years ago. So
Well,
it's just so much has happened.
It was one of the few trailers that has all the series. Well, a lot of the series roped into it, so I figured
all of them at the time. Yeah.
Figured you get a kick out of it.
I did. I love compilations like that, 'cause I love sitting and watching it, of course, but just seeing compilations and a key phrase and words and seeing all the main characters is just that it's nice. I like it. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Happy to bring you down memory lane and put a smile on that face, as the Joker might say, but that's a different property for a different time. Which what now?
I also enjoy. Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, we're all friends here. There's no harm done here. No, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch Star Trek and I've shared this story on other episodes and other pieces of programming, but real quick before I turn things over to Willow as well as Malcolm to get their reaction to all this. I didn't see Star Trek until some years ago. I think it was during the lockdown. I started watching the movies. I got the Blu-ray 10 movie set, the original series and the TNG movies, respectively. And I watched them except for the motion picture. That's too slow. I can't watch it. And then I watched Star Trek 5, and I was like, what the heck is going on here? But certain installments stand out a little bit more so than others. Let's be perfectly honest. But the one that captured my eyes the best was, in fact, Star Trek First Contact. That is by far and away my favorite Star Trek film of all time. It's the film that made me a Star Trek fan today. Picard's my boy. Patrick Stewart's my man. Like, he is the dog. I mean, when he says the line must be drawn here, this far, no further, that whole speech he gives in that room, I'm thinking to myself, can this guy get any better? Like, he's the man. He's the dog. He's the biggest dog in the yard. So my hat's off to Patrick Stewart, which, by the way, his memoirs are out now, Making It So.
Yeah.
So feel free to go and read those because I think he shares a few behind-the-scenes stories of TNG, if I'm not mistaken.
He does. Now, I would say my recommendation is to listen to the audiobook version unless you are already a huge fan of Shakespeare, because so he talks a lot about his early days in England, which are fascinating. You know, if you're interested in that, it's just fascinating. But then there's like a good third or more of the book is all of his days doing Shakespeare stuff, which the only reason I was able to get through that part in the book was because listening to his voice, I could listen to him talk about anything. So I'm not necessarily a huge Shakespeare fan. And then towards the end is when he gets into more about Trek and then being Charles Xavier and then more recent things. So it's great. It's worth, if you're a fan at all, it's worth it. But listen to it. It will be like, it's easier and better.
Boy.
Listen to it.
Thanks for the tip. The more you know, as they say in the PSAs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Star Trek First Contact and a few others are some things I like about Star Trek. But anyway, Willow, any thoughts on what Adina has shared with us as far as her fandom of Star Trek goes?
Well, I've been a fan of Star Trek since I was a kid myself, and it's since doing the whole convention thing, I'm so happy to meet other women who are just as big nerds as I am, because it's been a lonely childhood.
I get that. And, you know, going into, I went into my career knowing I was more likely than not going to be the only woman in the room. And for a long time that was true. Yeah. It's great to see that that's not so true anymore. Especially in terms of, technical, women going into technical fields. I'm no longer guaranteed to be the only technical woman in the room, which is awesome. But yeah, it was for a while.
Yeah. And I mean, like to geek out with someone else who likes the franchise, it was great. But being able to talk and not have the glazed over, far away look that I constantly got from other women, it was nice. It feels very nice now, even now. So good on you for getting into Trek.
That's why she's the best-selling author. That's why we pay her. That's why we pay her the big bucks here, folks. And we love her to pieces, all the more so. So nothing wrong with that. Just out of curiosity, though, Malcolm, are you familiar with Boldly Going Where No One Has Gone Before when it comes to the Trek and the Stars?
Yeah, I know a lot of it. No, the J.J. Abrams movies actually is sort of what got me into it. Like, and for the longest time, they were the only movies I ever saw until this year. I've finally got around to actually watching the rest of the Star Trek movies this year. I like them. First Contact is easily the best one for me. Like, I caused some controversy on Facebook the other day when I posted my rankings of the movies because of so I kind of had Raffican lower than what most people would have it. Because I when it comes to the earlier movies, like I've never seen the TV series, so it's like going into those movies like not really knowing, like only knowing the J.J. Abrams ones. Then it's just one of those ones like I've been into them, and they just seem to be more slower than what I was used to, and so that's why I may have been a little bit like, I still like most of them. It's just one of those ones like, and I'll probably still go back to them, but it's just, yeah.
No, fair enough. Like, with any fandom, they're going to have 31 flavors, and certain flavors aren't going to appeal to everybody. Am I right, folks? It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, when it's like this expansive, there is so much Trek. It's not just a few episodes or a few movies. It's so much. It's in original series and all these then follow-on series. It's like original set of movies and next generation movies and then J.J. Abrams movies. So there is so much, and if you only like really click with a part of it, that's cool. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But there's probably something for everybody somewhere in the Star Trek universe.
It's very true. Fantastic stuff. Once again, this is the Meaning of Fandom, talking about different characters or fandoms that mean something special to this round table of panelists and why. Let us know your favorite fandoms or characters in those comments down below. And do not forget to like and share this with everyone you know. And if you're joining us live or on a replay, we specifically thank you so much for being with us. Man, we just boldly went where no one has gone before. Where do we go from here? Great question, guys. Great question. With that being said, I'm going to turn things over to our next panelist. But before I do, we have a very special treat for you. And I think you're going to get a little bit of a kick out of this. Take a look.
the Batmobile.
Just in time.
All 120 episodes.
What? Is it possible? Not only possible, but true.
Fully remastered in HD.
Holy skyrocket!
Exploding with all new special features.
A special extra bonus.
Batman, the complete TV series. On Blu-ray, DVD, and digital HD. November 2014.
You've done it again, Batman.
Gee willikers. Yeah. I don't know what that was, but apparently there was an iteration of Batman that just kind of went off the rails and had fun with it, but with no end to its craziness. So Willow, I gotta ask. There have been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of iterations of this character over the years, but why, oh why, does the 66 iteration of Batman and Robin appeal to you so much?
It's the car. I have to admit, the car is damn sexy. Built by George Barris, who I've met, who unfortunately died a few years after that, seeing him at a convention. But yeah, he was the brains behind the sexy machine that I fell in love with. And yes, it came out way before I was born, but it lives on in reruns, and I adore it because it's like, I love the costumes, I love the color, I love the cheesiness of it, and it's very vaudeville slapstick comedy, and it's something that I've always been a fan of. And Adam West and Burt Ward are the two actors that don't seem to take themselves serious in this role either, and it's great to see. It was great to see the two make it such a timeless thing for us growing up. And I have like 10 versions of the Batmobile. My husband keeps saying that I have too many Batmobiles, but I always feel like I need at least one more.
Jeez. That's a lot of Batmobiles, by the way. Goodness gracious. Well, here's the deal. I've seen the Batman movie that was based on this 1966 TV series, I should say. I've seen it. It's there. I watched it. I watched bits and pieces of the TV series because they're on YouTube. You can find anything on YouTube these days. It's cheesy times a billion. It's not my cup of tea. To me, it's a what do you call it? At least for me, anyway. Hashtag not my Batman. But apparently, it was a big deal back in the day. And another thing is, this was in the comics. So even though it was on TV, it was written this way in the comics, and I'm just like, really? Batman was treated this way in the comics? Get the heck out of here. But apparently it's true. And I'm thinking to myself, how is this happening right now? This isn't my Batman. But then again, things were different in the 60s. Things were different in the 50s. Things were different in the 70s, so things are a product of their time. So with that being,
it went very dark, especially come the 90s, or sorry, 89, when we had the Batman movies. But it just, I will still watch the 66 Batman because it's I love, like, even some of the skits that they throw into the show. Like there was one that still keeps in my mind. It's I've seen it done in other shows where the phone rings, the actor will answer it and be like, "You don't say, you don't say, you don't say," and then they'll turn to the actor and be like, "What did they say? They didn't say," or "Who was it?" And they're like, "They didn't say."
Oh, gee willikers. Listen, more power to people who love that iteration of Batman. Just for me personally, it wasn't my cup of tea, but I get it. And the car looks nice. It's a nice looking car. I won't mince words about it. It's a nice looking car. Maybe not quite as nice as my good friend Michael Keaton's car, but hey.
Look, this guy who built the 66
True.
Batmobile also did like Elvira's car and
Really?
oh yeah.
Wow.
I can talk for hours just on
About
George
cars.
Barnes.
About cars. You can talk hours about cars. All right, nothing wrong with cars. Cars are great. There's some really good ones too. So I'll give you that one. Malcolm, just out of curiosity, you familiar with this old school 1966 BC iteration of Batman?
Well, first off, use a quote from a different Batman movie. Chicks dig the car.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I've seen the 66 movie. I really enjoyed that. I've not seen the series. I wanted to. I do wanted to. I'm going to travel back to 2014 when they first came out on DVD and go buy it. But yeah.
Sometimes you just can't get rid of a bomb.
I know.
Yep.
It's like that. Just, I'm sorry, but like that is 1,000 times cheesy that I've ever heard. I'm like, really? You're going to be scared about killing a few birds? Like, come on, man. You need to get rid of this thing. Save the people. Don't worry about the other stuff that's going on. I'm just, sometimes you just can't get rid of this.
Hey, they do touch on some serious stuff in that movie too, so it's
here and there, maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie in a hot minute, so I'd have to go back and revisit it, but I don't know if I want to. Too much emotional trauma. But I don't know, but I'm just throwing that out there. What about you, Adina? Are you familiar with this iteration of Batman from the 60s?
Oh, absolutely. So remember, I'm a child of the 80s. And back then we had very little choice in what we were watching on TV. There was just a few channels and you watched what was on. And, so there were one or two channels that, especially after school and in the evening, had all the family friendly stuff, which was a lot of reruns and syndication from the 60s and 70s. So yeah, I watched a lot of this as a kid. The Linda Carter Wonder Woman, and then shows like Happy Days and Brady Bunch and all that stuff. This was all, and Star Trek. This was all on just kind of like in the background. And I enjoyed it. And I remember, and it was my experience. That was my experience with Batman. That was what I knew as Batman going into my teen years, which is then when the Michael Keaton movie was coming out. And I remember learning about that from at a convention. And I knew who Michael Keaton was from Mr. Mom and then from Beetlejuice. And I remember thinking to myself, he doesn't strike me as Batman. But then the movie came out and I loved it. And it's still probably out of all the Batman movies that have come since, it is my favorite Batman movie.
See, and a lot of people have said, and reading up on articles of, Michael, people were unsure about Michael Keaton being Batman, but that's his acting training. Like the guy went to Juilliard.
Yeah,
he was in the same class as Robin Williams and Superman.
Yep. So I think this is a good choice, and yeah, this is great. And now, I kind of want to watch some of it because I do like going back to the it's not that dark, because there's a lot of dark stuff out there.
Even the dogs can sense it, apparently, and even the telephone can sense it. It's the bat phone that's ringing. Gee willikers, does anyone know how to silence their devices when you're on a $1 million talk show such as this one? No, I'm just kidding. We don't make that kind of money, but if someone wants to pay me that kind of money, please feel free to send it to this address. I digress. No, I get it. And I didn't know that Keaton went to the same school as Robin and Chris Reeve, because Chris Reeve and Robin Williams were like roommates at Juilliard or something. It's crazy. That's why they were such good friends, So, and the bond between Robin Williams and Christopher Reeve is like one of the best stories I've ever heard.
They did. They touched on the relationship with Christopher Reeves and Robin Williams in his documentary, which is very good.
Yeah, I want to see it.
It's a tearjerker.
Yeah.
So bring tissues.
Don't worry, we got a giant box.
Did they talk about that? Apparently Jonathan Frakes was also good friends with Christopher Reeve too. They talk about that?
Really?
No,
Riker friends with him?
Yeah. So the way I learned about that, Gates McFadden has a podcast, Investigates. One of the first episodes, she interviewed Jonathan Frakes, and that's where I learned about that.
No way.
Yeah, he has some fun, interesting stories. I mean, they I don't think they were as great friends for, with Robin Williams, but no, they were definitely friends, good friends.
I did not know this. Thank you for sharing this with our audience.
Everything comes back to Star Trek.
I feel like we're doing the what is it called? It's not 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, but basically 6 Degrees of Star Trek, maybe. because like a bunch.
It's really
because
3 degrees of Star Trek.
3,
6 degrees
4,
of Kevin Bacon, 3 of Star Trek.
Oh, 3 is Star Trek. Sorry. Because I was going to say, because we talked about this in another episode of this program, how a lot of the members of the Star Trek family ended up as voice actors on Gargoyles back in the 90s. So
Yes, they did.
they kept like that whole family of theirs just kept going, and they still do. They still do. They're always together at conventions. They're always talking to each other on each other's podcasts, including Gates McFadden, as Adina brought up earlier. So it's like that family's been around for, gosh, what? They were together for like 30. They've been together for 37 years now, which is insane. More power to you, TNG. That's why I love Picard. He's the man. He's El Capitan. Anyway, we could be here all night with a dissertation of that, but we're not here for that. So, oh, gee willikers. Once again, this is the Meaning of Fandom. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. If you have any comments about these fandoms or some of the other fandoms that you wish to discuss, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. And if you're joining us live on the replay, thank you so much for doing so. So with that being said, unfortunately, Malcolm, I don't have a $2 million promo to cut for you, but I'll just bring this up. So for argument's sake, Malcolm, what is it you like so much about these wonderful people over here known as pro wrestlers, brother? Yeah. Just out of curiosity, why do you like pro wrestling so much?
I mean, it's just one of those ones like I enjoy wrestling because like it's just one of those ones like the storylines they create within the matches and all that. It's a lot of fun, and it's just one of those ones that like, and before anyone sort of says it, like, yes, like it's more like that with WWE specifically, it is more staged wrestling, but that's part of the fun. Like yes, it's like you may call it fake and all that, but it's like it's staged. It's part of the fun. Like, and it's just like most of the other fandoms, like they're not like really happy. Like we're not really sending Will Wheaton into space, and all that. But it's just one of those ones like just with the promos, and that, and especially with a lot of these wrestlers do get like John Cena, for example, like he'll go around like and help like do a lot for charity and all that, and it's just one of those ones where they do a lot for the community and all that, and it's just one that that I could sit down and watch many different like wrestling shows all day if I could, but I don't have that time much. But it's just a lot of fun.
All right, well, just as a follow-up question before I turn things over to our panelists, and who are some of your favorite wrestlers of yesterday and maybe even of today? Any favorites?
Yeah, I mean, I really like Liv Morgan. John Cena's definitely one of my favorites, and I like the Hardy Boys as well.
Gotcha. All right. I can go with that. I mean, I grew up watching the Hardy Boys. I grew up watching some other wrestlers because I grew up watching wrestling as a kid. I watched it for like almost 10 years full time, from 98 to 06, if not a little before that or after that. So good times, good wrestlers, good promos, good matches, good storylines too. There's some really good ones during the Attitude Era and somewhat during the Ruthless Aggression era of WWE. So I'll give them credit for that. But just out of curiosity, I know she's gone boldly where no one's gone before when it comes to the Trek and the Stars. But Adina, are you familiar with this sport?
I mean, I know it exists. It's not something that I've really ever watched or paid a lot of attention to, but I'm aware of, especially the wrestlers who wound up being actors. So obviously I'm aware of John Cena and such. But no, I've never really, and maybe it's I never gave it a chance. I don't know, but no, where it exists, aware that it exists. Not much more than that.
Well, I know The Rock was in an episode of Star Trek, so you know. Yeah, so.
He was.
Yes. Well, and even back in the, like it was always like growing up, it was always fun when you know someone who's not traditionally an actor shows up in something like Hulk Hogan. Like he would then show up somewhere, and that was always fun. So, like I said, I've always been aware of it from that point of view. Yeah. And of course, yes, The Rock. Yeah.
Being one of the more well-known, bigger stars in the Hollywood world. Anyway, before he was in WWE and then he transitioned into Hollywood, so I get that. And another thing is, I mean, there were episodes of Baywatch where Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage and Ric Flair and all these other guys showed up. By the way, Willow, that was one of the funniest. That whole thing with them on the beach, like cutting the promo saying, "This is how it's going to be, Flair." Like, you versus me for all of this. It's cheesy good, but it's cheesy fun though. Even the dogs agree with me. I don't know where those dogs are coming from, but they must be somewhere in the Bat Cave, somewhere of Canada. I don't know. But anyway, there's that. I mean, what else happened? I mean, was it Edge showed up on Highlander? I think at one point, so he was in it. You had I'm trying to think of another TV series where they popped. I mean, Hulk Hogan was in a movie called Suburban Commando with Chris
he
Roy.
was.
Pop up everywhere. He
Chris
would pop
Roy.
up everywhere. That's kind of what I remember.
Yeah, I know a few of them appeared on Charmed at one stage. Like Billy Gunn was on Sabrina, the Teenage Witch.
Oh yeah, that's right. She was, and a few of the WCW stars at the time showed up on Walker, Texas Ranger, with Chuck Norris. Okay, Chuck Norris. Anybody ever hear those urban legends about Chuck Norris? There's like a huge minefield.
They exist for a reason.
Yeah, they exist for a reason because they're urban legends. They don't exist, but it's funny because here's the one that gets me. I don't know if anyone's seen this real quick before I turn things over to the next person. There's a meme going around that says when Chuck Norris was getting famous and stuff, he created 6 watches and he gave them to 6 teenagers with attitude and they became the Power Rangers. And I'm like, what? Chuck Norris invented the Power Rangers? Get out of here. I mean, I know he worked with Bruce Lee back in the day before he died, but like that doesn't mean he created the Power Rangers. What are you talking about, Willis? Anyway, sorry. Rant over. Willow, are you familiar with something known as wrestling, considering some of the biggest stars in the world come from Canada?
I was a big fan when I was a kid. Not so much now. I don't really watch wrestling now.
Right.
But yeah, no, I've gone through to a few live shows with the local wrestling groups, but yeah, I have to say I was more of a fan as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Who was my favorite wrestlers? Yeah, back then.
Oh, I loved the fight between Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. That will always stick in my mind. The Undertaker. Some of his fights are memorable. And there was Brutus Beefcake,
the barber,
and well, of course, Chris Jericho,
Y2K,
for my city.
Yeah. Oh, we did. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I have to. I guess I have to be a fan of his, but
that's all right. I'm surprised you didn't throw in Bret the Hitman Hart in that equation.
Yes, him and his brother will always be one of those wrestlers for me as well.
The Hart Foundation. Yeah. I can dig it. Good stuff.
There'd be no wrestling without their father, for sure.
Yeah, that's in the dungeon. Yeah, Stu Hart in the dungeon. Yep. So I've learned a few things in my time as a wrestling fan. So I tend to remember certain things about. Apparently, because a lot of the big name stars came from Canada. Which is insane how many big name stars came from Canada, whether it's the Hart Foundation, whether it's Edge, Christian, some of the other guys up there, and some of the women too. Trish Stratus. I mean, let's not forget about Trish Stratus.
She was just in Winnipeg over the weekend for Comic-Con. So,
did you get to see her?
No, her line was long, as well as the Trailer Park Boys, but. Alan Tudyk was also in town as well.
Oh, Alan Tudyk. We're familiar with his work, aren't we?
Another Juilliard.
Oh, well, Adina has a case in point. Firefly playing cards. Is that what they are? Yeah.
Yep, it's just happened to randomly happen.
They just happen to be sitting in my studio in the right place at the right time.
Yep.
Who knows where they may end up next? We aim to misbehave. Sorry, wasn't that a quote from Brown Coat himself? I don't know. Well done, Nathan Fillion. By the way, that guy doesn't seem to age.
No, he doesn't.
Has anyone noticed that about Nathan? He doesn't seem to age, really. I mean, the guy's like 20. Still looks like he's 25 going on 30. Isn't that weird? I don't get it. Are they drinking the immortality juice up there where he is? I don't know.
It's Canada. I don't know.
It's Canada, man. It's Canada.
It must be something in Alberta.
Alberta, more specifically. Different places in Canada. Be aware of that, folks. Okay, so... yeah, good wrestlers, good times, and some people know about it. Some people may have yet to discover it, and that's fine because there's plenty of content to go around for everybody. Once again, this is the Meaning of Fandom. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions about this stuff or fandoms that you wish to discuss with us, let us know in those comments down below. Let us know in the chat. If you're joining us live on a replay, thank you so much for doing so. With that being said, I'm going to turn things over to, let's see, next panelist. But before I do that, we have this for you. Take a look. You may get a kick out of this one.
Our family grows. The city itself will be our playground to use as we please. Rewarding ourselves and punishing our enemies.
We've been looking for you, Miss O'Neill.
There is a new enemy. Freaks of nature. Together, we will punish these creatures.
What the heck was that? Looked like sort of a big turtle in a trench coat.
Awesome!
Excellent!
Yeah! I love being a turtle!
Well, first of all, the voices you just heard were none of the original voice actors and people who actually acted in this movie. They used voiceovers to promote this movie for the time. And specifically, I'm talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because I'm wearing the shirt from that very same movie. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out in 1990. It was a live-action adaptation of the comic book series that came back, in the 80s. Speaking of which, it celebrates its 40th anniversary this year, so happy anniversary to all of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and to the creators known as Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. So, well done, guys. Well done. So here's the deal. I love this shirt. I love this movie. I like the second movie. Third one's good. It's a trilogy, even though the third one kind of misses the mark as compared to the first two. But it's still a fun ride, and it's good fun for the whole family. So TMNT, I grew up watching reruns of the animated series. So I remember the theme song. I remember the toys. Yes, those toys. Those toys. Playmates. I had a few of those figures. I kid you not. Did I play with them a number of times? Yes. Why? Because they are freaking Bossa Nova. What? Bossa Nova? A Chevy Nova? No. Excellent! Yeah. See, that's a line from the movie. Get with it, kid. So the toys were great. The animated series, for the time anyway, I thought was great when you're 4 or 5 years old. And I got the video cassettes from the Burger King Kids Club. Yeah. They were giving out VHS tapes of the TMNT animated series to kids at the Burger King Kids Club. I'm dead serious. I had 2 or 3 of them as a kid, and I watched them. I watched the movies, and I just fell in love with it. And by the way, TMNT 1990 is pretty much more or less. I mean, all movie studios like to take creative liberties with the property, but the movie is pretty darn close to a near perfect adaptation of the first, I would say, 4 or 5 issues of the comics book series of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So my hats are off to everybody involved in that first movie. My hats are off to the director Steve Barron and Jim Henson's Creature Shop. Let's not forget about Jim Henson in this equation, because if it weren't for Jim Henson and Jim Henson's Creature Shop and all the people who were working around him, those turtles wouldn't look real. Those turtles wouldn't have worked. Because you could have easily made an animated movie based on TMNT, but then it wouldn't have been the same. But there's something special about the puppets, okay? There's something very special about the puppets and practical effects and realism. And Master Splinter throwing a book on Michelangelo's head as he's placing an order for pizza on the telephone. I laughed my head off every time. 35 years later, I still laugh my head off, and I don't care who knows it. So TMNT is one of my favorite teams. It's one of my favorite fandoms. And also the first 2 movies are 2 of my favorite movies of all time. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze was one of the first movies I remember seeing in a theater, my friends. That was one of the first movies I ever saw in a theater. That was 1991, by the way. Great year, by the way. Great year. 91 was great for those of you who were there. So I think all four of us were. But anyway, that's not the point. So great stuff. I can't argue that. So those are my thoughts. As far as one of my favorite turtle, it used to be Leonardo, but I think my favorite turtle now is Raphael because I like a teenager with attitude. And I also like the size. You know, the swords, or the little swords that he carries. That's a bit easier to carry than the two katana swords. You understand what I'm saying? It's a bit easier. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And by the way,
Bonnie doesn't seem to get any love from people, it seems. Donatello.
Someone who was on this show previously or whatever, they said that their favorite turtle was Donatello.
He is the man. Like he built the car, he built the tech.
Turtle blimp. If anyone remembers the turtle blimp, anybody remember that? Or he'll put it together.
Sorry, the van.
The turtle van. You're right. No, I get it. So yeah, that's why TMNT is one of my favorite fandoms, and I have the shirt to prove it. So I have cred. All right, I got street cred. I got credibility. Just like Adina has as much Star Trek credit as I do. So it's incredible. So I got to ask you, Willow, what do you like about? Are you familiar with TMNT? And if so, what are your favorite things about it?
Again, big fan of it from when I was a kid. My husband is a big fan of them. We bought the comic books. We have the toys, or figurines. They're toys, guys. We take them out of the box and we play with them.
Yeah. Oh, why? Toy.
We're not planning on selling them. But no, I don't know what it is. The characters have resonated with me, especially Donatello being my favorite turtle. Because of the fact that a lot of the key characters seem to call out to me. But yeah, I'm kind of saddened that that the other characters seem to get more love than him.
Hey, it's 31 flavors. Sometimes other flavors appeal to people than others, and that's fine. That's fine. But hey, here's the good news for you, Willow. Plenty of kids and adults are dressing up as turtles when they go to Comic-Cons.
That's true.
So, and some people
Halloween.
Casey Jones, or Halloween. They dress up as Casey Jones. Some of them dress up as April O'Neil from Channel 3 News, which, by the way, I've met Judith Hogue, who played April O'Neil in that first movie. She's great. She's wonderful. And she loves the fans. She appreciates the fans. She's one of the few celebrities that actually cares about what's going on. Some celebrities don't care as much, but she does. And she has her own YouTube channel to prove it. So well done, Judith Hogue. We love you to pieces. And we've been waiting for you, Miss O'Neill. So I'm just saying. Good stuff. What about you, Malcolm? You familiar with TMNT?
I know of it. It's not one of those fandoms I grew up with. Like, I only saw the original 90s movies for the first time a few years ago. And I think you're fine. Like, I'm not going to be rushing home to rewatch them multiple times. Like, I'm not a fan of 2 and 3 at all. I think the first one's good, but I think I just slips off. It's one of those ones, like, maybe a hot take, but I don't hate the newer ones that came out. I've still got to see Mutant Mayhem, but I don't hate the Bay produced ones. So yeah.
All right, fair enough, man. Fair enough. What about you, Adina? Are you familiar with the Heroes in a Half Shell?
Yes. So from some of the original comics, and I was in high school when the cartoon was on, and I was watching that. I enjoyed it. I honestly don't remember if I saw the original movies. I might not have. I think I did at some point, but I am definitely rusty. I don't remember details of the movies, but I do remember a handful of details of the animated show, to include the theme song, Turtles in a Half Shell and all that. We recently saw the newest movie with my 6-year-old, and he liked it. And so that is kind of I can enjoy things he enjoys too, just by the fact that it's engaging him. And it was just interesting to have it in modern times where they all have cell phones and such. That's just kind of a little weird, but I thought it was pretty well done in general. But yeah, totally familiar. And I think Raphael was my favorite back then because I really did enjoy the size as well. What's kind of funny is as an adult, I did martial arts with weapons training. And so I've now worked with all those weapons. And funny that you mentioned with Donatello, because he was the one with the staff. That actually became, that became my favorite weapon to work with.
Okay.
So maybe I do have some love retrospect for Donatello.
Wow. We are learning all kinds of fun facts about this New York Times bestselling writer. I did not know that. My goodness. So you've trained with the katanas, the sais, the bow staff, and the nunchucks?
Yeah. For several years, there was a martial arts studio like a mile from my house. And so I did that. And I had stopped when I had my 6-year-old. I stopped about 6 years ago.
Right.
And I was just getting ready to go back when the pandemic happened. And then unfortunately, they didn't survive the pandemic. So I haven't, So I still actually, I have katanas. I still have and I have my nunchucks, and I have sais, and I don't have a bow staff. I don't have the big one, but a longer one, a shorter one, which is about my height, is a Joe staff. I have that.
Oh,
I still have that. So I still have all my weapons.
Joe staff. So basically, in other words,
don't break into my house.
Well, not only that, but don't get on your bad side, is what you're saying.
Or that, yes.
Yeah. Don't mess with me. Don't mess with me. Because otherwise, and by the way, this is a situation that I hope doesn't come up either. Raphael says in the first movie, "I lost the sai." Then it is called, "No, I can get it back. I can get it back." "No, Raphael, let it go. Your ninja skills are reaching their peak." Sorry, I can go all night with this because I love this movie so. You know how many? I'll be honest with you. I watch this movie so many times a year because I have it on DVD, and I have no regrets because the movie is so good and so funny. You know, even though it can get dark at times, that movie can get dark, okay? That movie can get dark. But the lightheartedness of it is so good. And I think it's pitch perfect, at least in my opinion. And fun fact for those of you watching or listening to us at home, that movie turns 35 next year, and we're going to be right here in the studio during a 35th anniversary watch-along. And guess what? Whoever's watching or listening to this right now, you are all invited to be a part of that because that is one of the most exciting movie watch-alongs we have planned for next season. And that's, believe me when I tell you, folks, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So many movies are turning 30, 35, 25, 15, whatever. There are so many like all-star films, whether it's TMNT, Kevin Bacon's Tremors turning 35. There's a fun fact for you, Dina. Speaking of 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, Tremors turns 35 next year. Fun fact. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I think if memory serves, let me see. I think Toy Story turns 30. So yeah, and I'm talking about the original. I'm talking about the TS very beginning one. Yeah, turns 30 next year, and we'll be sitting here talking about that movie too. Anyone familiar with that one? I'm sure you are. Yeah, next season of Movie Watch Along is going to be really good, and I think you're going to get some real enjoyment out of it. But stay tuned because, like I said, it's only the tip of the iceberg, folks. I think if I were to show the list to Adina right now, she'd be thinking to herself, how on earth could these films possibly be that old? I don't get it.
I'm not that old.
She's not. She's not. I'm just saying. Age is just a bloody number, you know? I mean...
It's when planning my convention, I looked at the list of all the convention, all the like the TV shows that are celebrating like 30 years and whatnot next year, and Sliders being one of them. And it's like, oh my
no,
God.
That's
I
a
have
good
to
one.
pay to this.
I remember watching reruns of that, Adina.
I remember when that came out, and I remember watching that in its original run.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, again, back then, any science fiction show that came on network TV, I was, if you're a science fiction fan, you were watching it because there wasn't a ton. So I remember watching that. I remember watching V. Oh, there's another one I'm thinking of. Yeah. So yeah, whatever came out, we watch. Oh, Quantum Leap.
Yep. Quantum Leap was another one.
But there wasn't a ton. Not like I mean, there's a lot now. There really wasn't back in the day.
You've also got the first Back to the Future is 40 next year.
Yeah, Back to the Future turns 40. Sorry to tell you this, Adina, but it's true. And not only that, Back to the Future Part 3 turns 35. So get ready. We're going to be doing a back-to-back weekend of Back to the Future. And believe me when I tell you, that's going to be 1.21 gigawatts of excitement, if you know what I'm saying.
My 11th birthday party was we went to see Back to the Future in the theater. That was what we did for my 11th birthday party because it came out that summer.
Yeah.
That must have been one of the best birthday weekends you've ever had.
It was.
Is that in like your top 5?
I'll have to think about that because I've had a lot, so I have to think. I have a lot of birthdays to think about.
True.
But it could be. It could be.
I was 0 years old when Back to the Future came out. That's how old I was.
Thanks for making us feel so young there, Malcolm. Thanks. Appreciate it. I was -2 when that movie came out, so thanks, guys. Appreciate you. God. I mean, for the love of Pete, 1985 had Breakfast Club. There's another one. Breakfast Club turns 40. I kid you not. And here's another one for you. I don't think this one's on the list of movies we're going to be talking about later on in the season, but Rambo First Blood Part 2 came out in 85. That's right. Rambo.
Some of those I didn't see till, like on tape, on VHS till a few years later because I was a little too young for Rambo, a little too young for Breakfast Club even. And we didn't go to the movies a lot when I was a kid, so I probably can name every movie I saw in the theater from like birth through high school.
All right, I'm timing you. Go ahead. No, I'm kidding. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I
love how you said that you were too young to watch all these like violent type shows, and I'm just like, I probably should have been too young to watch a lot of the horror movies that I watched as a child. But
you watched them anyway.
Well, same thing. It was interesting because again, my parents wouldn't take us to the theater, but if something came on TV or something, but usually the ones that came on TV like now even were cut a little bit different. But then at some point we were allowed to rent videos from the theater. My parents weren't super strict. Like if we could deal with it, they let us. So I did see The Nightmare on Elm Street, with Freddy Krueger, probably a little too young-ish, but not terrible. It was, again, not terrible. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't like there's a lot of stuff that I'm very strict with my kids where I won't let them watch, but there's a lot of stuff that's produced today is a lot more disturbing than what we had. It makes that look tame. There's my video
being wonky all over again. Don't worry, she'll be back when she gets herself out of the Matrix. It's all good, Adina. Don't worry about it. We got you. But yeah, needless to say, TMNT is a great fandom. If you haven't experienced it, please feel free to do so. Whether it's at your local comic shop, whether it's on streaming or whatever, and all these other fandoms we've discussed thus far, we appreciate you for being with us. It's been a lot of fun. And apparently Adina's studio is just being wonky for some odd reason. I don't know why. Maybe the executives have problems with her. I don't think they do, because as far as I can tell, she's been getting wonderful reviews from the Academy and everybody who's read her books and her newsletter, which, by the way, you can be a part of that here in a moment. But yeah, I don't know why is things being wonky for you. I don't get it. But anyway,
never happened before.
I know this. It's like you've been on our set so many times in the past, and all of a sudden your camera decides to be a bit, and I'm like, what is this? Like the Twilight Zone? I don't get it. Rod Sterling, that's old school right there. Just saying. Oh, by the way, for those of you who are familiar with Cassandra Peterson, aka Elvira, she was on the most recent episode of Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, the podcast.
Yeah, she was, and that was really good.
Did you want? Okay, so you already know where I'm going with this. You've seen it, haven't you? Have you? You've watched it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Never mind. You're ahead of the curve. Why am I even here? What do you even need me for? Honestly, what do you even need me for in these studios?
Because you're the host.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I feel like all the panelists are the hosts. Really,
Dude,
I'm just along for the ride.
If I had my Elvira stuff at arm's reach, I would have been talking about her, but
I mean, you can save it for the next one if you ever want to come back here, which I'm sure you're going to want to do anyway, because you have your Batmobile behind you. So it's like, well, she brought the Batmobile. Why don't you just talk about Elvira the next time she's here, even though spooky season is over? But, I don't know. According to Brian Rodman, it's not, but whatever. Brian Rodman, I love you, brother, and I hope you're doing well. And feel better soon, because I know you've been struggling a bit lately, but we love you too. Listen, this has been a great episode of The Meaning of Fandom. I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for being here. This has been a lot of fun. Fun facts: don't mess with Adina and get on her bad side, because she will morph into a TMNT, and something is going to happen that you don't want to see. So I've learned so many wonderful things because of this episode. I'm glad that you, who may be watching or listening to this right now, we're here to witness it. So with that being said, thank you for being here. Malcolm, if someone wants to know more about you and your very interesting taste in pro wrestling, or maybe even movies, or living in the Shire with the hobbits, where can they follow you on social media, Malcolm?
You can find me over on Take Three Productions. We host my show Rankum every Sunday night. This week we're doing the top 12 movies that have won Best Ensemble at the SAG Awards. You can find me hosting my show Spear from the Past, where I put every WCW, WWE, ECW pay-per-view on a reel and randomly spin it. Next week we're talking about WCW Super Bowl number 5. And I pop up here and there on other shows and yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us, kind sir. Do really appreciate it, and wish you all the best with your shows and your production moving forward. With that being said, Willow, oh dear Willow, all the way from Canada, where some of the biggest names and stars are living the dream. If someone wants to know more about you and some of your new business ventures you're going to be going on, where can they follow you?
Well, you guys can tune into my show called Geeky Discoveries. I am now venturing on my own with I think I'm going to go more towards the pre-recorded stuff for a little while, just to amp up my YouTube page and see where the monetization will take me with Facebook and for different content.
Fantastic. Well, if you ever need anybody, we're here to help you. So
Absolutely.
all you got to do is reach out and give us the call. Adina, New York Times bestselling writer, future bestselling writer, excuse me. I'm sorry. She wants to put that asterisk by her resume. But despite all that, Adina, it was great to see you. Congratulations on everything you're doing. I hear a lot of new things are going to be coming up for you in terms of your books and some other stuff you're going to be venturing into. So if someone wants to know more about you and your taste in the Trek and the Stars, and maybe how to not mess with you when it comes to TMNT and their weaponry, where can they follow you on social media, Adina?
Sure. Okay, the best thing to do is just to go to my website, which is here, adinam.com, because you can get anywhere from there. And the top things to know is that I'm one of the co-hosts of the Big Sci-Fi podcast, and we are wherever podcasts are found. Me and my co-hosts cover all kinds of science fiction. We're very heavy on the Trek, but we talk about everything. Sometimes we have guests to include on screen and behind the camera, people who bring our favorite fandoms to life. And I'm also an author, a science fiction author. I have this standalone novel, Lunar Logic. I'm working on the sequel right now. But I have this nice, wonderful series called the Robot Galaxy series. It's currently 4 books. And the most exciting thing is I'm working on a Kickstarter. So I'm in the pre-launch phase for a Kickstarter to get these into audiobook format and then work on the sequels to them. So if you go to adinam.com, there's a banner at the top of my website where you can click on the link to the Kickstarter. So follow the Kickstarter. If you do one thing, go to my website and follow my Kickstarter.
Well, congratulations to you and the Kickstarter and all that stuff. We wish you the best of luck with it. And if you ever need anything, we're here for you, because indie supports indie and family supports family. So try to keep that in mind as we go along here. I'm going to be talking to you again here very shortly. Adina, thank you so much. My name is Ryan of And I Quote Channel. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Feel free to follow us across all forms of social media simply at And I Quote Channel. Links are located in the description below. Links to where you can follow our wonderful panelists here are going to be in the description as well. So check those out. Go to adinam.com and click on that button for her Kickstarter. Give it a nice little kick. It's got it going here. Get the promos rolling. Just saying, guys. Just saying. But thank you all for being here. If we missed any fandoms or missed any characters, let us know in those comments. Let us know in the chat. Do not forget to like and share this with everyone you know. And if you're joining us live on the replay, thank you so much for doing so. But yeah, we are on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Once we do, we're going through a great big live stream celebration that will include returning favorites and some special giveaways that you, our incredible viewers/subscribers, going to be eligible to win. Also got some merch that's going to be on sale right now. We got shirts, we got hoodies. The seasons are changing, folks. Seasons are changing in Maryland. Oh my goodness gracious. So feel free to check out our merch. We got stickers. We got also got coffee mugs, stationery, a couple throw pillows, a TV news reporter. What do you think? Raphael, what are you doing? Sorry, that's another TMNT quote. I can't help myself sometimes. But still, it's all good stuff, and it's on sale. So check out the links in our social media bios. Once again, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Meaning of Fandom. They drop on the first Friday of every month at 7 p.m. EST. Movie watch-alongs are going to be the second, third, and fourth Fridays of each month, respectively, at 7 p.m. EST. And then the flagship show, And I Quote, is on Saturdays at 12 p.m. EST. Thank you so much for being a part of this episode of the Meaning of Fandom. And remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring that bell to be notified of when our videos go up or they go live. And always remember, life is better when celebrating your favorite fandoms. Take a look.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Time! Tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Tell me! It is a gift.
A privilege.
Behold, my stuff.
Ooh. Now you want to get nuts? Come on! Let's get nuts.
I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!